This is your daily market review for Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, your daily market review for Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. Hopefully you're having a great week so far. Not surprised by today's action, as we talked about. Probably going to get some sort of fade on the pop today. IWM held up pretty well, which is curious considering I think they're saying the most amount of call options ever traded went through in the last 2 days on the IWM, which is rather interesting yet scary potentially because, again, we know what the market's really good at doing, taking the most amount of money from the most amount of people, chasing it up. Ten cuidado. We know that the market might be stuck in a range going into next week. I've told folks this and try to be aware of it. You have a FOMC meeting next Wednesday. You're at the start of earnings. Now, you have some earnings after hours, and again, we'll review that. But you also have the big Fed meeting, as we know. And again, we show the Fed fund futures. There's nothing expected next week, but the rumors, the talk, the BS, that's when it starts picking up. So, new to the channel, check out the Discord room, link description below. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. Follow on Twitter, always posting trades, ideas, and thoughts. Sometimes there's not a lot going on, but hey, worth a shot. You know, if you need a chat, check out the live, have a live Zoom with me potentially if you need a share screen. At worst, you're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate. I'm telling you, do not hesitate to book a session. Even if not, and you want to book a session and just talk about anything involved in the trading game, let me know. Again, check out the website and also make sure you subscribe for more updates through email and whatnot. Again, I'm not going to purge you with a bunch of stuff, but I was going to start sending out email newsletters about certain trades, going a little deeper into them in the sense of, hey, reward people for sharing that kind of stuff, because there are times where it's not easy to just type in something on the Discord room or Twitter. You know, it's easier to potentially record a video, do some things, send it through email, especially to benefit the people who are staying tight, included in the group. So I appreciate all the love, support, generous donations. Again, whatever platform you're on, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I appreciate it. And again, if you're looking to learn, the education is crazy on my website or the YouTube channel. So after hours, what do we got? Tesla misses, growth of 2.3% year over year. Yikes. Again, people are paying crazy multiples. Here's end phase. Revenue fell 57.3%. Not surprised. The stock has been beaten. And then you have Apple. Rose 13.6%. Again, people paying insane multiples for what? Companies that's growth is going to be negative or slowing down aggressively. Again, we'll talk about them when we get to those stocks, see how they're reacting, but just worth the note. Remember, it's earnings. You never know. Bad news can go up. Good news can go down. Good news can go up. I mean, it's just a freaking crapshoot. So speaking of, here we go. This is the first rate cut expected in September. When you click on the July, you will see nothing, 2.6%. I don't care what comes. Unless the market tanks 10% overnight, big absolute meltdown. Do not believe anything in the news. There is no cut coming. None. None. This is a virtual lock. Bitcoin, talked about it. Hey, need to get up to 70,000. Would you chase it? No. Again, I mean, like gold, silver, I mean, I'd like when the Feds pivot. Until then, we could be in choppy slop zones. Oil, as we've talked about, rose on what? Hurricane fears, pulls back, chopping around. Just again, I like commodity. I like everything when the Feds pivot and people puke and go nuts. Okay, that's what I'm liking. That's when I will be going aggressive into the commodity names and all of the fun other stuff related to high liquidity being poured into the market. All right, dollar, as we've talked about, the best turd in the toilet, catching a bid again, slowly. TLT, again, I've said, bought some positions last week in the UBT, now being patient, watching for multi-day ranges. We didn't get really down to the 92.30s or any of this area, so I'll be watching the 92. I might as well just show you. I'm setting an alarm, 92.05. Ding, 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 ding. If it goes off, you know what to do. The VIX, we talked about this. Nice pop, pulling back to trend, actually, which is rather interesting. As I said, are you surprised that there was a rally on the idea that Biden was dropping out of the race? Now, again, I'm telling you right now, the market now has priced in that Trump is going to win. It's all downside from here, projection-wise, potentialities. Does that make sense? Like, if anything goes wrong for Trump or for his candidacy, again, the market's going to have to reprice things. Now, and also, too, he's yelling at the Feds, do not cut rates before the election. So again, a lot of this stuff is priced to perfection, in my opinion. And that's where I think there's more downside risk. Not saying you can't pop, but if you're chasing and buying the market, I got people hitting me up when I'm buying this. I'm like, 10 cuidado, be careful. VIVIX chopping around. Again, we talked about it popping, leading up. SPY up all day, gave it up at the close. You're surprised. Again, we said the 8 and 10 day, right? Just watching these levels, watching. Again, worst case scenario, maybe 560, the gap, but I don't see much upside. QQQ, again, this thing is toast. Get the jam out, butter, gaps down. Okay, keep it on. And now, again, could it rally back on earnings? That's what I'd be watching for. Is there any pop backs because of earnings? And then they fade. Right now, on days like today, when there's no earnings really to watch, I'm not doing crap. I mean, UPS missed by a mile, got clobbered, but that's about it, right? I mean, Nucor, I guess, had earnings. I mean, there's nothing big. But after the close, again, we'll see the reactions here. IWM, as we talked about, not surprised. Bouncing all those call buyers. I mean, watching the 224, 225 area. If you get that, maybe you don't. You never know. No guarantee. DIA. Talked about this being a topping outside reversal bar. Now the 8 and 10 day chopping around. Gold. A lot of people are buying like, I got to buy it today again. Okay. The seasonality may have already run its course for July. I mean, we'll see. August, September, not good for gold. It's tough. Again, I don't like this. And again, I mean, I could be wrong, but I like when silver is acting strong. Strong like bull. Silver looks like crap. Back at range lows. Not good. Gold like holding up. They're at the range lows. That's not what you want to see. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm going with the probabilities. If you want to fight the probabilities and try to get lucky, go right ahead. GDX, we talked about popping up, giving it back, gapping down, and now it's just consolidating. GDXJ, again, maybe these things don't go anywhere until next week. Same thing, chopping around. So, I mean, again, people talking about buying these stocks. I'm like, I mean, I don't know. AG, chopping around. AEM, chopping around. It's tough to know. Again, this one's been holding up better. They have earnings on Thursday, so 10 cuidado. Be careful. Newmont, we like this one. Remember, we talked about this for the long run, but I just can't chase these things. I've seen what happens. Like, here you go. Here's a meltdown on Friday. Miners were not immune. I'm just trying to explain that to people. Okay? They're just not. Pass, same kind of thing. Chopping around. Be careful. All right, let's get into semis because, again, they had a decent little bounce on Monday. Chopping around. Again, we talk about you can't go one direction every day in a trend. Micron, I mean, this one's tough because it could be tightening up to bounce or it could be tightening up to get blasted. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you shorted the highs, you're kind of managing your trades, and if you want to add back, you wait for pops. If you don't get the pops, then you just ride out your trade. AMD, again, sitting at the 200-day. It looks a little scary. NVIDIA talks about them updating their chips to sell to China. If Trump's winning, do you think he's going to allow that? I mean, I was thinking about that today. I know Pelosi bought some more stock on a pullback, but do you really think Trump is going to be okay with selling NVIDIA's chips in China? I mean, that's the question I have here. If he's leading, that to me doesn't seem like not a good idea. Because again, the jawboning, it's like solar, oil, all this stuff. Like, do you really think that they're going to be like, yeah, sure, produce all these chips in the United States and send them overseas to our competition that hates us, that wants to destroy us? Questions you have to ask yourself. So again, worth just trading the levels, right? SMCI, again, this one, I like this one potentially. Again, their earnings were good, but here's the thing. We're in a big choppy zone. Why would you trade it unless you're at extremes? Be careful. Intel, not 20-day, it has to hold. The gap has to hold. It makes sense, this area, but it has to hold, right? We talked about this trade. I mean, is it over? I don't know. They have earnings coming up. Be careful. They could be a real crapper. SMH we talked about. It's done. 50-day chopping, maybe gap, maybe 20-day. Keep an eye on it. Adobe, really was hoping for a bigger bounce. Watching the 200-day. Want to short it. Apple, again, I'm not going to chase it. We talked about this when everyone's talking about, I missed the short. Well, then you got the island floating reversal. Now it's holding at the 20-day. Again, wait for bounces if you want to short it, or just leave it alone. Their earnings are next week. Do you want to gamble on it? That's your choice. Amazon got a big upgrade today, gave it back at the end of the day. Hit the freaking resistance zone, backed off. Again, chopping around the 100-day. It's tough to tell it's bullish or bearish. 495 on Meta. Yep. We'll see. Again, I think Jay Soltis was talking about that as a potential spot to watch. Man, perfect. 495.22 within 20 cents. Pretty solid guess there. Oversold bounce, but keep in mind they have earnings this week or next week. I don't know. Well, the Snap have earnings. There's always that. They could be reacting to Google. They're at 487 after hours. Just be careful. Again, just trade around your positions or just wait. CRM, we talked about this one gapping up or gapping down, capitulating, oversold bounce. Now it's just kind of biding its time. Google, after hours, 188, got down to 176. I mean, it's all over the place. It is absolutely all over the place. I'm looking at the 10-minute. I'd be watching the 20-day. Again, I mean, it's a thing, 13% growth for, I don't know what the multiple is on Google, but it's got to be somewhere in the 20s and 30s. So again, it's overvalued in my opinion. But does the market care near term? I don't know. That's the thing. I'd be watching for levels to fail at. Right? I'd be watching for levels. I mean, your guess probably around the 20-day, somewhere around 185 to 188. Microsoft, chopping around. It's, oversold bounce near term. Again, 20-day, 8-day, somewhere in this range. Maybe it fills this gap. I don't know. Did it already fill it? I'm just trying to give you guys ideas because this is the thing. The reality is, like, all these levels seem to be playing out and matter. I'd be watching. I don't know. This seems like the spot, 450 plus. Now, again, it could hit the 8-day and 10-day and quit, but then, I don't know. Just be careful. NDAQ, talked about, I think this is the easiest short ever because, again, in time, people are not going to be buying Nasdaq stocks. I'm just telling you, they're not. They're going to buy commodities when the Feds pivot. Believe me, don't care. Or if you don't. MicroStrategy, again, said this yesterday, said you needed to see confirmation of follow through. Today, you didn't really get much of anything. And so I would go back on red alert. You need more information. Because it's not bearish, it's not bullish. It's just kind of chopping around. Now, I know we closed below yesterday's highs, but after this candle, look at the body. It only pulled back, a quarter, a fifth of the whole bar. So it doesn't really tell me much. It's just, again, inside day, potentially. It's not technically, but it's looking like one. Netflix, again, had earnings all over the place. If this thing breaks 100-day, adios, amigos. Roblox, I've talked about this one bouncing after the capitulation, watching this 40 area. Just keep an eye on it. PanW, CrowdStrike is toast. I don't know. These are getting beaten. At some point, maybe there's a bottom in that one, but again, we like this one. Pelosi's buying this one too. Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. Tesla, after hours, is where at? 237. Again, this is why you don't really play around with earnings unless you're hedging. Somebody in the Discord room was talking about calls being bought, and it's like, were they hedges? You never really know. Again, $1 million option bet going into earnings doesn't surprise me at all. If I had to take a bet, there was probably dozens of $1 million bets being put on today in the options market as hedges or some sort of risk management. Here you go. Watch this 20-day, watch the 235. Again, I personally don't have much faith in Tesla near term until the market corrects and they actually can, really diversify into what their future is. Because, again, electric cars, there's no money in it. We know it's all about the future of what they want to talk about doing. Insight, again, I like this for the long term. Pulling back would be ideal. If it breaks over the 65, consolidates here, this might be a trade to play up. McDonald's going into earnings. We've talked about this dead cat bouncing. How high could it go? It seemed to get stuck here in the 260s. Now you're back at the 20-day. Just worth a watch. DKNG. Again, I like the short on this one. Seems to be holding though 36. So again, if you're short, you might see some more test back of the this area, 39-40 area, potentially on a bounce. Just again, this is the thing. Like, you don't short the bottom. This is what we talk about, trading around your position in case it does bounce. Airbnb chopping around. They got earnings coming up. Costco dropped on earnings. Now it's holding this zone around 850. Just worth a watch. Starbucks got pounded, bounced. We talked about the double bottom. Apologize, get my mouse over here. Double bottom. Okay. This one's tough. I just, again, I'd be waiting for the lows to break out. FedEx got cooked a little bit today on UPS's earnings. If you're not familiar, UPS did not guide so hot. Wasn't so excited about their earnings. Where is UPS? Oops, pull it up. It was down a whopping 12% today. New lows. Big volume. Capitulation? Good question. I don't know. I personally, again, I'm expecting a slowdown, so I don't know why anyone would be buying industrial stocks. Caterpillar, since the rip up, been giving it back, going into earnings, chopping around. I think my mouse is dying, when it just starts struggling to move. I'd be watching. It's in a trading range. Nucor had earnings all over the place today, right? down though for the day. 20 day. I mean, if it breaks 150, it's going lower. X popping again. I don't know if X has a fetish for potentially a Biden-Harris win, because then again, I think more likely we'd sell out to a foreign country. Just a thought. VALE chopping around, but new lows. I mean, it's just not good. Arrow, again, leave these global growth names, commodity names alone, in my opinion. Just there will be a point, you'll know, when everyone's freaking out. CCJ, again, I hate when Goldman upgrades the highs, and then guess what? We're coming back 200-day. Just, again, if it breaks 200-day, you're going lower. CF, again, we talked about the ad names bouncing. Nope, that bounce was short-lived. This is why we talked about don't chase them. Leave them alone. Leave them alone until the Feds capitulate. I mean, I'm like a broken record, but you know what? You do you, boo. AA, again, we like aluminum long-term a lot. Just don't trust it here. XLF, bouncing, chopping around. Again, I still think this thing is toast in time. Banks hold all of the risk. JP Morgan, if Jamie Dimon's not buying the stock, why should you? Holding the 8 and 10 day. Morgan Stanley Morgan, right? 20 day. I mean, it looks like they've all blown off. It's just a matter of when now before they start pulling back. Bank of America, Novice Gap. See that red arrow chopping around. Goldman Sachs. Again, if you got a Marcus account, I appreciate you guys using the referral codes. Beneficial. Again, I don't think they're going out of business, but hey, look at that. Carry, we talked about this, right? IWM, getting into these gaps, worth a watch. Here you go. Again, filling the gaps here at the 58 level. I mean, Junior Bank sold all the risk. I don't know if you saw California Bank, whatever today, their earnings were an absolute disaster. Keep it on again, because Carry and the IWM working together. XBI, we've talked about. I mean, here's another one. XBI is another part of like the IWM, a lot of these junior bios. Talked about it breaking out and then failing. XHB, I mean, again, you got to be freaking high to your mind to be buy housing up here, in my opinion, near term. I don't know. We'll see. This feels like a bull trap. And again, bull traps can take days, not just one day. So just keep that in mind. Solar, as we talked about, it's just, it's tough, man. It's tough. I mean, do you really want to buy this stuff? You want to short it? Okay. Know your levels, right? Chopping around. ENPH had, Sedge, come on. ENPH had earnings after hours. It is doing what? It's at 110. Again, absolute disaster of earnings, but it's up. Do you see my point? Like, who knows? It's up near the 110 level. It's probably worth watching if it rallies back into these 130s. Just keep an eye on it. First Solar, chopping around. We talked about this one getting demolished. Are you surprised if it goes sideways in the chop zone? That's where you just, again, got to be careful. HYG, if you're chasing corporate debt, in my mind, you are high out of your mind there. Oil pulling back. Again, we talked about global growth slowing down, just nature of the beast. UNG, talked about natural gas, like it long term. I hate the UNG. It's an absolute crap product. I don't even know why I'm trying to expand on it. Cold, I like the KLD. We talked about shorting it up in the 70s potentially. That was your first entry. If you missed it, now you just got to be patient, because again, I think they will throw the baby out with bathwater. That's what they always do. Commodities are not immune. XOP, here you go, chop it around, 200-day. CVE, chopping around. Again, we like these names, just them rolling through them quick, let them pull back. Gasoline names, not acting so well. I mean, they look way worse. So gasoline name is the lead, kind of like the miners lead the metals. Someone knows demand destruction is real. ExxonMobil, again, we've talked about this one, like looking threatening to break out, gives it back up. Occidental, the big trading range, the big Buffett trading range, just enjoy. Last but not least, EQT had EQT had earnings after hours. It's nowhere. Again, these are big chopping consolidation patterns, in my opinion. And so if you really want to get super hyped about them, wait for the range lows. It's the same thing with Oxy, like big trading range. And when Buffett's ready, he'll break it out. But look at this, since almost 2 years, he's probably accumulating, going to own half the stock before it's ready. And then he'll sell cover calls. And and then last but not least, Flex LNG, same thing. These are big consolidation patterns, in my opinion, where they will lead to up. But if you are early on them and you don't get the extremes, like I'm talking about the extreme lows, you're just not going to, there's no benefit. So if you have any questions, again, please reach out. I appreciate all the love, generous donations. You guys are amazing. Leave a comment below, hit the like button, do something for me if you really appreciate these videos. Because again, I don't expect donations. I appreciate them if people kill it and want to, share the wealth, because again, they learned something, they got the trade from us. Or again, and so my point being is, if hit the like button, leave a comment. Again, it helps the algorithms. It helps people find these channels, because I think that's the thing. People are searching for wealth and knowledge, and hopefully we can be that. So I appreciate you guys. Have a great evening.